The first time Jae-sung saw something was wrong, he was hiding behind the supply closet on the 3rd floor. He was not supposed to be there. His mom worked as a physical therapist at the Fiancée care facility, and sometimes, after school, he had nowhere else to go. So he would sit quietly in the corners, doing homework, trying to be invisible. That day, he forgot his math book in the break room. It was almost 6 in the evening. Most of the staff had gone home. He walked down the long hallway, his sneakers making small, squeaking sounds on the shiny floors. That is when he heard voices. 2 women. One voice he knew. It belonged to Miss Yoon. She visited often, always dressed nicely, always smiling that tight smile that did not reach her eyes. The other voice was softer, tired. Jae-sung stopped walking. The voices came from room 304. The door was open just a crack. "How long are you going to keep doing this?" the tired voice said. "Until you understand your place," Miss Yoon replied. Her voice was cold, nothing like the sweet tone she used with the nurses. Jae-sung knew he should leave. His mom always said, "Mind your business. Keep your head down. Stay out of trouble." But something made him move closer. He peeked through the gap in the door. The woman in the wheelchair had dark skin and long braids pulled into a ponytail. She looked exhausted. That was Miss Diana. Jae-sung had seen her before, always sitting by the window, always quiet. The nurses said she could not walk, that her legs did not work anymore. But right now, Miss Diana was not sitting. She was standing. Jae-sung's eyes went wide. She stood next to the wheelchair, her hands gripping the edge of a table. She was shaking a little, but she was definitely standing. "Sit down before someone sees you," Miss Yoon said. She was holding a small case, the kind that held medicine and needles. "I am so tired," Miss Diana whispered. "Please, just let me go. I will leave the city. You will never see me again." Miss Yoon laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "You think it is that simple? You think if you disappear, everything goes back to normal? He still thinks about you. Even now, planning his wedding, he thinks about you. Then tell him the truth. Tell him I am fine and I left." "No," Miss Yoon said. "You stay here, exactly like this, until he forgets you completely." Jae-sung watched as Miss Yoon opened the case. She pulled out a syringe. Miss Diana's face changed, fear flooding her eyes. "No, please, not today. I cannot take another one." "Stop being dramatic. Sit down." Miss Diana's legs were shaking harder now. She looked like she wanted to run, but where could she go? Miss Yoon grabbed her arm, not rough, but firm. The kind of firm that meant she had done this many times before. Jae-sung felt his stomach turn. He should do something, say something. But he was 12 years old, and Miss Yoon was, well, she was important. She knew people. His mom needed, this job. He watched Miss Yoon inject something into Miss Diana's arm. Within seconds, Miss Diana's legs buckled. She collapsed into the wheelchair, gasping. "There," Miss Yoon said, packing up the case. "See you next week." She turned toward the door. Jae-sung ran. His heart pounded so loud he thought the whole building could hear it. He made it to the stairwell, pushed through the door, and sat down on the steps, trying to catch his breath. What did he just see? Before you click away, hit that subscribe button, because what happens next is going to blow your mind. 3 days passed. Jae-sung could not stop thinking about what he saw. He tried to tell his mom, but she was rushing between patients, stressed about bills, about keeping her job. When he finally got her attention during dinner, she just sighed. "Baby, you probably saw Miss Diana doing physical therapy. Sometimes they practice standing." But Mom, she was actually standing, and then Miss Yoon gave her a shot, and she could not stand anymore. Jae-sung, his mom's voice was firm. "Miss Yoon is engaged to Mr. Kang. You know who Mr. Kang is?" Jae-sung nodded. Everyone knew. Mr. Kang owned half the businesses in the neighborhood. People did not mess with Mr. Kang. Right. So we don't make up stories about his future wife. We don't cause trouble. Understand? Jae-sung wanted to argue, but he saw the fear in his mom's eyes. She was scared. Scared of losing her job. Scared of what powerful people could do. So he said, "Yes, ma'am." But he did not stop thinking about it. He started paying attention. Every Tuesday and Friday, Miss Yoon visited. She always went to room 304. She always carried that small case. And every time she left, Miss Diana looked worse. Tired. Weak. Lost. One Friday, Jae-sung was in the break room when he heard two nurses talking. "I do not understand why Miss Park is not getting better," one nurse said. "It has been 2 years. Her spine was not even that damaged. I heard Miss Yoon brought in a special doctor. Maybe he knows something we do not. Maybe. But if you ask me, something feels off. I have been doing this job for 15 years. I have never seen someone just stop trying. Miss Park used to ask about therapy, about recovery. Now she just stares out the window." The other nurse lowered her voice. "You think someone wants her to stay like this? Girl, stop. You're going to get us both fired." They laughed it off, but Jae-sung heard the doubt in their voices. 2 weeks later, everything changed. Jae-sung's mom forgot her keys at work. It was late, almost 9 at night. She sighed and asked if he wanted to come with her to get them. "I will be quick," she said. 5 minutes. The facility was quiet at night. Most of the patients were sleeping. His mom went to the staff office. Jae-sung waited in the hallway, leaning against the wall, playing a game on his phone. Then he heard crying. It came from room 304. Soft, broken crying. The kind that sounded like someone had been holding it in for too long. Jae-sung put his phone away. He walked toward the door. It was open, just like last time. He looked inside. Miss Diana was on the floor, not in her wheelchair, but on the floor, dragging herself toward the bathroom. Her legs were moving, just a little. She was crying, crawling and trying so hard. Jae-sung pushed the door open. "Miss Diana!" She gasped and looked up. Her face was wet with tears. She looked terrified. "Please do not tell," she whispered. "Please, she will. She will make it worse." Jae-sung stepped inside and closed the door behind him. "I saw you before. I saw you standing. I saw what Miss Yoon did." Miss Diana stared at him. Then she started crying harder. "You do not understand. You are just a kid. You cannot help me." "Maybe not," Jae-sung said. "But I know something is wrong. Why do you let her do this to you?" Miss Diana laughed, bitter and sad. "Let her? You think I have a choice? You could tell someone, the nurses, the police." "Tell them what?" "That the woman engaged to one of the most powerful men in the city is keeping me drugged? That I have been here for 2 years, and everyone thinks I am paralyzed, but really, she has been poisoning me?" Miss Diana shook her head. "Who would believe me? I do not even know if I believe myself anymore." Jae-sung sat down on the floor next to her. His mom always said he was too brave for his own good. "What if someone did believe you?" Miss Diana looked at him, really looked at him. "Who? You?" "I saw it. I know what she's doing. You are 12. So? I am 12, and I have eyes." For the first time, something like hope flickered across Miss Diana's face. Then it died just as fast. "Even if you are right, even if you tell someone, Mr. Kang will never believe it. He thinks I hate him. He thinks I want nothing to do with him. Do you?" Miss Diana was quiet for a long moment. "I loved him. My whole life, I loved him. But he chose his business, his reputation, his duty. He chose everything except me. And when I tried to leave, when I tried to start over somewhere else, this happened." She gestured to herself. "And now, I do not know what is real anymore. Maybe I am paralyzed. Maybe my mind is just broken." Jae-sung thought about that. Then he said, Miss Yoon gives you medicine, right? What if you did not take it? What do you mean? What if you hid the pills or spit them out after she leaves? What if you let your body get strong again? Miss Diana's eyes widened. She will notice. Not if you were smart about it. This was crazy. This was dangerous. But looking at Miss Diana sitting on that floor, broken and hopeless, Jae-sung could not just walk away. Why do you care? Miss Diana asked. Jae-sung shrugged. My dad went to jail for something he did not do. Took 3 years before someone believed my mom and checked the cameras. 3 years of my life without him, because people did not want to listen. He met her eyes. I do not like it when powerful people get away with hurting others just because no one listens. Miss Diana was quiet. Then she nodded, slowly. Okay. 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 I will try. From that night on, they had a plan. Every week, Jae-sung would find a reason to be at the facility. His mom thought he just liked doing homework there. Really, he was watching, learning Miss Yoon's schedule, watching Miss Diana get a little bit stronger. Miss Diana started hiding the pills. She would pretend to swallow them, then spit them out when the nurse left. It was not easy. Some of the medicine was injected, but the daily pills, those she could avoid. Within 2 weeks, she could feel her toes again. Within a month, she could stand for almost a minute before her legs gave out. It is working, she told Jae-sung one afternoon. Her eyes were brighter. She looked alive again. I can feel everything. My legs. They are weak because of the medicine, not because of the accident. So you were never really paralyzed? Maybe at first, right after the crash. But I should have healed. Instead, she kept me weak. Miss Diana's hands curled into fists. 2 years. She stole 2 years of my life. Jae-sung felt anger rise in his chest. We have to tell Mr. Kang. He will not believe us. We have proof now. You can stand. You can move. Miss Diana shook her head. It is not enough. He will think I have been faking the whole time. He will think I am trying to ruin his wedding. She had a point. Jae-sung chewed his lip, thinking, what if we get evidence? Real evidence. Like what? The medicine bottles. Pictures. Something that shows what she has been doing. Miss Diana hesitated, then nodded. There is a bag in the cabinet. She keeps empty bottles there. I always wondered why she did not throw them away. Maybe she is keeping them in case she needs them again. Together, they gathered what they could. Pill bottles with labels that made no sense for someone with a spinal injury. Jae-sung took pictures with his phone. Miss Diana wrote down dates, times, and everything she could remember. It was not much, but it was something. Then, 1 week before the wedding, everything fell apart. Jae-sung was leaving room 304 when he ran into someone in the hallway. He looked up, and his blood went cold. Miss Yoon stood there, her arms crossed, her expression unreadable. Well, she said softly. What do we have here? Jae-sung's mouth went dry. He tried to speak, but nothing came out. Miss Yoon smiled, and it was the scariest smile he had ever seen. Does your mother know you have been sneaking around my fiancé's property? I was visiting Miss Park. Miss Yoon stepped closer. That is very sweet, but I think it is time you go home. And maybe, do not come back. It was not a suggestion. It was a threat. Jae-sung ran. He ran past the nurse's station, down the stairs, out into the parking lot, where his mom was waiting in the car. Baby, what is wrong? She asked when she saw his face. We have to go. Now? That night, Jae-sung could not sleep. He kept thinking about Miss Diana, alone in that room, with Miss Yoon knowing someone had been visiting her. What would she do? Would she hurt Miss Diana? The next morning, his mom got a call. She hung up the phone and looked at Jae-sung with a mix of sadness and frustration. They let me go, she said quietly. What? Why? They said they are restructuring, but I know why. She sat down, rubbing her temples. What did you do, Jae-sung? I did not do anything wrong. That is not what I asked. Jae-sung told her everything. The standing, the medicine, the plan. His mom listened, her face going through a dozen emotions. When he finished, she was quiet for a long time. You believe me, right? Jae-sung asked, his voice small. His mom sighed. I believe you saw something, but, baby, these people, they are not like us. They have money, power, and lawyers. Even if you are right, even if that woman is doing what you say, who is going to fight them? Mr. Kang would, if he knew. And how are you going to tell him? Walk up to his office? He has guards, assistants, people whose whole job is to keep people like us away. Jae-sung felt tears prick his eyes. So we just give up. We just let her keep hurting Miss Diana. His mom pulled him into a hug. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we have to be smart. We have to find the right moment. But what if the right moment never came? 2 days later, Jae-sung was walking home from school when he saw something that made his heart stop. A black car was parked outside his apartment building. Not unusual, except this car was expensive, clean, and very out of place in their neighborhood. Standing next to it was a man in a dark coat. He was tall, with sharp eyes, and an expression that said he did not smile much. Jae-sung recognized him from pictures in the neighborhood. Mr. Kang. Jae-sung's first instinct was to run the other way, but then he thought about Miss Diana, about the tears on her face, about 2 stolen years. He took a deep breath and walked up to the car. One of the guards stepped forward. Kid, keep moving. I need to talk to Mr. Kang, Jae-sung said, his voice shaking. The guard laughed. Sure you do. It is about Miss Diana Park. The laughter stopped. The guard looked at Mr. Kang, who had gone very still. Mr. Kang turned his head, looking at Jae-sung for the first time. What did you say? Jae-sung's heart was beating so fast, he thought he might pass out, but he forced the words out. I need to tell you something about Miss Diana, about your fiancé, about what is really happening. Mr. Kang studied him for a long moment. Then he opened the car door. Get in. The guard looked alarmed. Sir, we do not know this kid. He knows Diana's name. That is enough. Mr. Kang's voice was calm, but there was something dangerous underneath. Get in, kid. Talk. Jae-sung climbed into the car. It smelled like leather and expensive cologne. Mr. Kang sat across from him, waiting, and then Jae-sung said the words that would change everything. She can walk. Miss Diana can walk. Your fiancé will not let her. Mr. Kang did not move, did not blink. For a second, Jae-sung thought maybe he had not heard. Then Mr. Kang leaned forward, his eyes locked on Jae-sung's face. Say that again. So Jae-sung did. And this time, he did not stop talking until he had told Mr. Kang everything. The car was silent after Jae-sung finished speaking. Mr. Kang sat back in his seat, his face unreadable. Jae-sung could not tell if he was angry, or shocked, or if he even believed any of it. Finally, Mr. Kang spoke. You are Keisha's son. It was not a question. But Jae-sung nodded anyway. Yes, sir. Your mother is a good woman. Honest. Mr. Kang's eyes were dark, hard to read. Are you honest? Yes, sir. Then look at me and tell me again. Is Diana walking? Jae-sung met his eyes. Yes, I saw her. More than once. And I saw Miss Yoon give her medicine that makes her legs stop working. Mr. Kang's jaw tightened. That was the only sign that he was feeling anything at all. Show me proof. Jae-sung pulled out his phone with shaking hands. He showed Mr. Kang the pictures, the pill bottles, the dates Miss Diana had written down. It was not much, but it was real. Mr. Kang looked at each picture carefully. Then he handed the phone back. Wait here. He stepped out of the car and made a phone call. Jae-sung could not hear what he was saying, but his voice was low and sharp. When he came back, his expression had changed. There was something cold in his eyes now, something that reminded Jae-sung that this man wasn't just rich, he was dangerous. "I'm going to ask you one more time," Mr. Kang said, "and I need you to be very sure of your answer. Because if you are lying to me, if this is some kind of game, there will be consequences. Not for you, you are a kid, but for the people around you. Understand?" Jae-sung swallowed hard. "I understand. Is my fiancé hurting Diana?" "Yes." Mr. Kang nodded slowly. Then he pulled out his wallet and handed Jae-sung a card. "If anything happens, if anyone threatens you or your mother, you call this number. Understand?" "Yes, sir." "Good. Now go home, and do not tell anyone about this conversation." Jae-sung got out of the car, his legs feeling like jelly. He watched the car drive away, and he wondered if he had just made the biggest mistake of his life or done the only right thing. That night, Mr. Kang did not go home. Instead, he drove to the care facility. He walked past the front desk, ignoring the nurse who tried to greet him. He went straight to room 304. Diana was asleep in her wheelchair, her head tilted to the side. She looked so small, so fragile. Mr. Kang stood in the doorway, just watching her. He had not visited in weeks. Every time he came, it hurt too much. Seeing her like this, broken, unreachable, it was easier to stay away. But now, looking at her, he wondered how much of what he saw was real. He walked closer. "Diana." Her eyes opened slowly. When she saw him, confusion crossed her face, then something that looked like fear. "Minho?" Her voice was hoarse, like she had not used it in a while. "How are you feeling?" he asked. She blinked, like the question did not make sense. "Tired. I am always tired." He crouched down next to the wheelchair. Up close, he could see things he had missed before, the way her hands trembled, the strange emptiness in her eyes, and something else, something that made his chest tighten. She was afraid of him. "Diana, do you want to be here?" She looked away. "Where else would I go?" "That is not what I asked." "It does not matter what I want." "It matters to me." She laughed, and it was such a sad sound. "Does it? Because 2 years ago you made your choice. You chose your business, your family, your perfect Korean bride." She finally looked at him. "I was never going to fit into that world, Minho. We both knew it. So you decided to leave. I decided to stop waiting for you to choose me." He felt the words like a punch, because she was right. He had made his choice, over and over, and every time he chose duty over her. "The accident," he said carefully. "Do you remember it?" Her face changed. "Why are you asking me this?" "Just tell me what you remember." Diana closed her eyes. "I was driving to the airport. I was going to take a job in Atlanta, start over. And then, I do not know. There was another car. Everything went black. When I woke up, I was here, and they told me I would never walk again." "Who told you?" "The doctors. Miss Yoon's doctors." "And you believed them?" Her eyes snapped open. "Why would I not believe them? Minho, what is this about?" He wanted to tell her, wanted to say that a 12-year-old boy had just turned his world upside down with a story that sounded insane but felt true. But he needed to be sure first. "Nothing," he said, standing up. "I just wanted to check on you." "Well, as you can see, I am still here, still broken. You can go back to your wedding plans now." The bitterness in her voice cut deep, but he did not argue. He just nodded and left. Outside, he sat in his car for a long time, thinking. Then he made another call. "I need you to get me Diana Park's medical records, all of them, from the accident until now." "Sir, those are sealed." "I do not care. Get them." It took 2 days. 2 days of Mr. Kang pulling strings, calling in favors, using every connection he had. When the files finally arrived, He read them 3 times. The initial report from the accident was clear. Diana had sustained injuries, yes. A concussion. 4 bruised ribs, some trauma to her lower spine, but nothing that should have caused permanent paralysis. The emergency room doctor had even noted that her reflexes were normal. Then she was transferred to a private facility, the one owned by Seo-yeon's family. After that, the reports changed. Suddenly, she was not responding to treatment. Her condition was worsening. She needed specialized care and long-term monitoring, and every report was signed by the same doctor. A man who, according to Mr. Kang's sources, had been paid a significant amount of money by the Yoon family. Mr. Kang closed the file. His hands were shaking, not from fear, from rage. He pulled out his phone and called Seo-yeon. "Min-ho, darling, what is it?" Her voice was sweet, warm. "We need to talk." "Of course. Shall I come over?" "No, meet me at my office. 1 hour." Something in his tone made her pause. "Is everything all right?" "1 hour, Seo-yeon." He hung up before she could respond. When Seo-yeon arrived at his office, she was smiling. She was always smiling, always calm. It was one of the things his family liked about her. She never caused drama, never made scenes. "You sounded serious on the phone," she said, sitting down across from his desk. "Is something wrong with the wedding plans?" Mr. Kang did not sit. He stood by the window, looking out at the city. "Tell me about Diana." The smile faltered, just for a second. "What about her?" "How is she doing?" "The same, I suppose. I have not visited this week. Why?" "You have not visited?" He turned to face her. "But you visit every week, Tuesdays and Fridays." Now the smile was completely gone. Seo-yeon's face went carefully blank. "Who told you that?" "Does it matter?" She stood up, smoothing her dress. "Min-ho, if this is about me checking on Diana, I was only trying to help. I know how much she means to you, even if you do not admit it. I wanted to make sure she was comfortable." "Comfortable?" "Yes. And the medication? The pills you give her? That is to keep her comfortable too." Seo-yeon went very still. For a long moment, the only sound was the clock on the wall ticking. Then she said, very quietly, "What did that boy tell you?" So she knew. Of course she knew. Mr. Kang walked over to his desk and picked up the medical files. He dropped them in front of her. Diana was never supposed to be paralyzed. Seo-yeon did not look at the files. She looked at him. No. No. No, she was not. Seo-yeon's voice was calm, too calm. The accident was supposed to scare her away, make her leave the city. But she survived, and you felt guilty, so you kept her close. Do you have any idea how that felt? Planning our wedding while you mourned another woman? Mr. Kang felt something cold spread through his chest. What did you do? I made a choice, the choice you were too weak to make. You kept her prisoner. I kept our families together. Seo-yeon's eyes were hard now. Your reputation, my family's business, the merger we have been planning for years, all of it depended on this marriage, and you were going to throw it away for her. For a woman who does not even belong in our world. There it was, the truth, ugly and sharp. She can walk, Mr. Kang said, his voice dangerous. Yes. And you have been drugging her for 2 years. Yes. The honesty was almost worse than a lie. Seo-yeon was not even pretending to be sorry. Why? He asked. Because you loved her, and as long as she was whole and free, you always would. Seo-yeon stepped closer. I did what needed to be done. I protected our future. You tortured an innocent woman. I removed an obstacle. Mr. Kang stared at the woman he was supposed to marry in less than a week. He had known her since they were children. Their families had planned this union before either of them could walk. He had always thought she was kind, dutiful, everything a wife should be. He had never really known her at all. The wedding is off, he said. Seo-Yan did not flinch. And then what? You will run back to her? You think she will forgive you? You left her in that facility for 2 years, Minho. You did not question. You did not visit. You just let her rot because it was easier than facing your guilt. The words hit like bullets because they were true. She will never forgive you, Seo-Yan continued, and our families will never forgive you for breaking this engagement. You will lose everything. I do not care. You will. Mr. Kang walked to the door and opened it. 2 of his men were standing outside. Escort Miss Yoon out. She is not welcome here anymore. Seo-Yan picked up her purse, completely composed. As she walked past him, she stopped. You are making a mistake, she said. The only mistake I made was not seeing who you really are. She left without another word. Mr. Kang stood there for a long time after she was gone. Then he picked up his phone and made a call. I need you to transfer a patient. Diana Park. Move her to Seoul Presbyterian Hospital. Tonight. And get me the best neurologist in the city. He was not going to let Diana spend one more night in that place. But even as he made the arrangements, Seo-Yan's words echoed in his mind. She will never forgive you. And he knew, deep down, that she was probably right. The transfer happened at midnight. Diana woke up to nurses she had never seen before packing her things. She was confused, still groggy from the evening medication she had actually taken that day, because the nurse watched her swallow it. What is happening? She asked. You are being moved to a different facility, Miss Park, one of the nurses said. She was older, with kind eyes. Doctor's orders. What doctor? I did not ask to be moved. Mr. Kang arranged it. Diana's heart dropped. Minho. What was he doing? Why now, after 2 years of nothing? Was he suddenly making decisions about her? Care? She wanted to protest, to demand answers. But her tongue felt heavy. The medication was still working through her system. So she let them lift her into a transport wheelchair and roll her out into the night. The ambulance ride was quiet. Diana stared at the ceiling, trying to piece together what was happening. The last time she saw Minho, he had asked strange questions about her accident, about what she remembered. He had looked at her differently, like he was searching for something. Did he know? No, that was impossible. The only person who knew was Jae-sung, and he was just a kid. Who would listen to a kid? But then, why was she being moved in the middle of the night? They arrived at a hospital that looked nothing like the care facility. It was bigger, brighter, busier even at this hour. Nurses moved with purpose. Doctors walked the halls. Everything smelled like antiseptic, and something else, something that felt like hope. A woman in a white coat was waiting when they wheeled Diana inside. She was young, maybe 40, with short hair and sharp, intelligent eyes. Miss Park, I am Dr. Kim. I am going to be overseeing your care from now on. I do not understand what is happening, Diana said. Her words were still slurred from the medication. I know, and I am sorry for the confusion. But I promise, we are going to figure out what is really going on with you. Dr. Kim walked beside the wheelchair as they moved through the halls. When was your last medication? Tonight. Maybe 2 hours ago. What medication? Diana tried to remember the name, but her brain felt like it was moving through mud. I do not know. The nurse gives me pills. Blue ones. White ones. I stopped keeping track. Dr. Kim's expression darkened. She made a note on her tablet. Okay. We are going to run some tests. Blood work, neurological exams, and imaging. I want to see exactly what is in your system and what is going on with your spine. They put Diana in a private room. It was nicer than anywhere she had stayed in 2 years. The bed was comfortable. There was a window that showed the city lights. For a moment, she just stared at those lights and tried not to cry. The test started the next morning. Or maybe it was later that morning. Diana had lost track of time. They took blood. They did scans. A neurologist came in and tested her reflexes, her responses, and asked her 100 questions. "Can you feel this?" he would ask, touching different parts of her legs. Sometimes she could. Sometimes she could not. It depended on how much medication was still in her body. By the afternoon, Dr. Kim came back with the results. She sat down next to Diana's bed, and her face was serious. "Miss Park, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me." Diana nodded. "Do you trust the people who have been taking care of you?" The question caught Diana off guard. I do not know." "Why?" "Because the medication in your system, it is not for spinal injuries. It is a combination of muscle relaxants and something else, something that should not be given long-term." Dr. Kim pulled up a chart on her tablet. "Your spine is fine, Diana. There is old bruising, evidence of trauma, but nothing that would cause paralysis. You should be able to walk." The words did not make sense at first. Diana heard them, but they felt far away, like they were meant for someone else. "That is not possible," she whispered. "I am looking at your scans right now. Your spine is intact. Your nerves are functional. The only reason you cannot walk is because of what has been put into your body." Diana felt something crack open inside her chest. 2 years. 2 years of sitting in that chair, of believing her body was broken, of giving up on everything she wanted to do. And it was all a lie. "Who did this to me?" she asked, even though she already knew. Dr. Kim hesitated. "I think you need to talk to Mr. Kang about that." As if saying his name summoned him, there was a knock on the door. Min-ho stepped inside and he looked terrible. His eyes were red, his clothes wrinkled. He looked like he had not slept. "Diana," he said, "get out." Her voice was stronger than she expected. "I need to explain." "Get out!" Dr. Kim stood up. "Mr. Kang, maybe now's not the best time." "Please," Min-ho said, and he was looking at Diana like she was the only person in the room. "Just give me 5 minutes. I do not want to hear anything you have to say. I know you hate me. You have every right to. But please, let me explain what happened." Dr. Kim looked between them, then quietly left the room. Diana wanted to call her back, to tell her to make Min-ho leave, but the words would not come. Min-ho walked closer, but kept his distance. He did not sit. He just stood there, looking lost. "A boy came to see me," he started. "Jae-sung. He told me you could walk. He told me Seo-yeon was keeping you drugged." Diana's hands gripped the bedsheets. Jae-sung. That brave, stupid kid had actually done it. "I did not believe him at first," Min-ho continued. "It sounded crazy. But he had pictures, dates, proof. So I looked into it. I got your medical records, the real ones. And I found out the truth." "The truth," Diana repeated, her voice hollow. "The truth is, your fiancé has been poisoning me for 2 years, and you never noticed. I know. You never visited. You never checked on me. You just left me there. I know." "Stop saying that," Diana's voice broke. "Stop acting like knowing makes it better. You left me, Min-ho. You chose her. You chose your business, your reputation, everything except me. And when I tried to leave, when I tried to move on, she destroyed my life and you let her." Min-ho's face crumpled. "I'm sorry. Sorry does not give me back 2 years. I know. Nothing I say will fix this. But I need you to know I ended it. The engagement is off. Seo-yeon is gone. And I am going to make sure she pays for what she did." Diana laughed, bitter and sharp. "You think that is what I want? Revenge. I do not care about Seo-yeon. I care that the person I loved most in the world abandoned me. I thought you hated me. After the accident, every time I visited, you barely looked at me. I thought you blamed me for everything. I was drugged, you idiot. I could barely think. I could barely remember my own name most days. Tears were streaming down Diana's face now. And you know what the worst part was? Sometimes I would have these moments of clarity where the fog would lift and I would think, maybe today he will see something is wrong. Maybe today he will save me. But you never did. Minho took a step forward, then stopped himself. I failed you. In every possible way, I failed you. And I will carry that for the rest of my life. But right now, I am here. And I am going to do everything I can to help you get better. I do not want your help. Diana, I want you to leave. I want you to go back to your life and leave me alone. The pain on his face was real. She could see that. But she was too tired, too angry, too broken to care. Okay, he said quietly. But I am paying for all of this. The hospital, the doctors, whatever you need. You do not have to see me, but please, let me do this. Diana turned her head away, looking out the window. She did not answer. After a long moment, she heard him leave. The next few weeks were the hardest of Diana's life. Harder than the accident. Harder than the 2 years in that facility. Because now, she had to relearn everything. The medication left her system slowly. As it did, feeling came back to her legs. First it was tingling, then pins and needles, then actual sensation. The physical therapist, a woman named Keisha, was patient and kind. "We are going to take this slow," Keisha said on the first day. "Your muscles have atrophied. We need to build your strength back up." Diana recognized her. "You worked at the facility." Keisha nodded. "I did. And I am so sorry. I should have seen what was happening." "How could you have known?" "I am trained to notice things. And I noticed you were not improving. But I just thought, I do not know. I thought maybe your case was different." Keisha's eyes were sad. "When Mr. Kong told me the truth, I quit that same day. What they did to you, it is unforgivable." "You have a son," Diana said, remembering. Jae-sung. Keisha's face brightened. "You know my boy. He's the one who figured it out. He saved my life. He told me what he saw. I did not believe him at first, and I feel terrible about that. But that kid, he does not give up when he knows something is wrong." Diana smiled for the first time in what felt like forever. "He is brave. He is going to be so happy to hear you are okay. He has been asking about you every day." Something warm spread through Diana's chest. A kid she barely knew had risked everything to help her, while the man she loved had done nothing. The physical therapy was brutal. Every movement hurt. Her legs shook. She fell more times than she could count. But Keisha was always there, encouraging her, pushing her, believing in her. "You are stronger than you think," Keisha would say. "Your body remembers how to do this. You just have to remind it." After 2 weeks, Diana took her first step. Just one, with Keisha holding her up. But it was a step. She cried. Keisha cried. Even the nurses who were watching cried. "Look at you," Keisha said, grinning. "Look at you go." Diana took another step, then another. Her legs were shaking so hard she thought they might give out, but they held. By the end of the month, she could walk the length of the room. By the end of the second month, she could walk the hallway. It was not easy. It was not pretty. But she was walking. Minho kept his distance like she asked, but she knew he was still around. The nurses would mention him sometimes. He paid for everything. He made sure she had the best doctors, the best equipment. He never tried to visit, but she would sometimes find things in her room. Books she mentioned liking years ago. Her favorite snacks. Small things that showed he was paying attention. It made her angry. Because how dare he care now? Where was this attention 2 years ago? One afternoon, Jae-sung came to visit. Keisha brought him after her shift, looking nervous. "He has been begging to see you," Keisha said, But if you are not ready, I can tell him to wait." "No," Diana said. "I want to see him." Jae-sung walked in, looking smaller than she remembered. He stood by the door, shy and uncertain. "Hi," he said. "Hi yourself." Diana smiled at him. "Come here." He walked over slowly. Diana was sitting in a chair, not the wheelchair, just a regular chair. Jae-sung noticed. "You are sitting up," he said. "I am walking too. Want to see?" His eyes went wide. "Really?" Diana stood up, slow and careful. She took 3 steps toward him. Jae-sung's face lit up like she had just performed a miracle. "You are walking," he whispered. "Because of you." Diana's throat was tight. "You saved me, Jae-sung. You believed me when no one else did." Jae-sung looked down, embarrassed. "I just told the truth." "And that took more courage than you know." Diana reached out and put a hand on his shoulder. "Thank you." Jae-sung looked up at her, and his eyes were shiny with tears. "I am glad you are okay, Miss Diana." "Me too, kid." "Me too." They talked for a while. Jae-sung told her about school, about how Mr. Kang had given his mom a new job at one of his legitimate businesses, how things were better now. Diana told him about physical therapy, about her plans to leave the hospital soon. "Where will you go?" Jae-sung asked. Good question. Diana had not thought that far ahead. She had no apartment, no job. Everything she owned was either gone or in storage somewhere. "I do not know yet," she admitted. "Mr. Kang has been asking about you," Jae-sung said carefully. "My mom says he asks every day how you are doing." "I'm sure he does." "Are you still mad at him?" Diana sighed. "It is complicated." "Do you love him?" The question was so direct, so honest. That was the thing about kids. They did not dance around the hard stuff. "I did," Diana said. "I am not sure what I feel now." Jae-sung nodded like he understood. "My mom says love is not enough sometimes. She says people have to choose to show up, and Mr. Kang did not show up for you. Your mom is a smart woman." "But," Jae-sung continued, "she also says people can change, if they really want to." Diana did not know what to say to that, so she just squeezed Jae-sung's shoulder and changed the subject. After 3 months, Dr. Kim cleared Diana to leave the hospital. She could walk on her own now, though she still got tired easily. Her strength was coming back, but it would take time. "You have made incredible progress," Dr. Kim said. "I am proud of you." "Thank you for believing me," Diana said. "I am just sorry it took so long for someone to see the truth." Diana packed her things, which was not much. She was putting books into a bag when there was a knock on the door. Minho stood there, and he looked nervous. Actually nervous. She had never seen him like that before. "I heard you were leaving today," he said. "News travels fast." I wanted to make sure you have somewhere to go." Diana zipped up her bag. "I will figure it out. I have an apartment in Koreatown. It is empty, fully furnished. You could stay there, just until you get back on your feet. I do not want your charity, Minho. It is not charity. It is me trying to make up for what I did. Or did not do." He stepped into the room. "Please, Diana, I know you do not want to see me. I will stay away. But let me do this one thing." Diana wanted to say no, wanted to tell him she did not need anything from him. But the truth was, she did not have anywhere else to go, and she was tired of being proud. "Fine," she said, "but I am paying rent. You do not have to. I'm paying rent, or I am not taking it." Minho nodded. "Okay. Whatever you want." He gave her the address and the keys. Their fingers brushed when she took them, and for just a second, she felt it. That old spark, the thing that had always existed between them. She pulled her hand back quickly. "Thank you," she said, formal and distant. "You are welcome," He left before she could say anything else. The apartment was nice. Too nice. It had big windows and new furniture, and a kitchen that looked like something from a magazine. Diana dropped her bag by the door and just stood there, feeling out of place. This was not her life. She was supposed to be in Atlanta by now, working with kids, building something of her own. Instead, she was here, in an apartment, paid for by the man who had broken her heart. But as she walked to the window and looked out at the city, she made herself a promise. This was temporary. She would get strong. She would find a job. She would rebuild her life. And then she would leave. For real this time. She would not let Minho or Seo Yan or anyone else define her story. The first week in the apartment was strange. Diana spent most of it just existing. She would wake up, do the physical therapy exercises Keisha had given her, eat, sleep. She felt like a ghost in her own life, but slowly she started to come back to herself. She started painting again, something she had not done since before the accident. She set up an easel by the window and just let herself create. The paintings were dark at first, full of angry colors and sharp lines. But as the weeks went on, they got lighter. One day, Keisha stopped by with groceries. "You do not have to do that," Diana said. "I know, but I wanted to check on you." Keisha put the bags on the counter. "How are you doing? And I mean, really doing?" Diana thought about lying, but Keisha had that mom look that saw through everything. "I do not know," Diana admitted. "Some days I feel okay. Some days I am so angry I can barely breathe, and some days I just feel sad. That is normal. You went through trauma, Diana. Real, serious trauma. It is going to take time to heal from that. I just want to feel like myself again. You will. But maybe yourself is different now, and that is okay too." Keisha stayed for tea. They talked about everything and nothing. It felt good having a friend. Diana realized how isolated she had been, even before the accident. Her whole world had revolved around Minho, and when that fell apart, she had no one. She was not going to make that mistake again. "Jae-sung asks about you all the time," Keisha said. "He wants to know if you are okay." "Tell him I am good. Tell him I'm getting stronger every day." "You should tell him yourself. Come have dinner with us this weekend." Diana hesitated. She had not really been around people since leaving the hospital. The thought of it made her nervous. But Keisha was looking at her with those kind eyes, and Diana found herself saying yes. Dinner at Keisha's apartment was loud and chaotic and wonderful. Jae-sung was excited to see her, showing her his schoolwork and talking non-stop about a science project he was working on. Keisha's mother was there too, a tiny woman who kept putting more food on Diana's plate and telling her she was too skinny. For the first time in years, Diana felt normal, like a person, not a victim, not someone to be pitied or saved, just Diana. After dinner, Jae-sung pulled her aside. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "Sure, kid." "Are you going to forgive Mr. Kang?" Diana should have known this was coming. "Why do you ask?" "Because he is sad. I see him sometimes when I'm at my mom's work. He looks sad. What he is feeling is not my responsibility, Jae-sung." "I know. But do not you think people deserve second chances if they are really sorry?" Diana knelt down so she was eye level with him. Here is the thing about second chances. You can forgive someone and still not let them back into your life. Forgiveness is not the same as trust, and trust has to be earned. Jae-sung thought about that. Has he earned it? "I do not know yet." That was the honest answer. Because the truth was, Diana did not know what she felt anymore. She was angry, yes, hurt, absolutely. But there was something else too, something she did not want to admit. A tiny part of her that still wondered what if. What if Minho had changed? What if he really was sorry? What if they could start over? not as who they were, but as who they had become. But those were dangerous thoughts, and Diana had been hurt enough. A few days later, she got a call from an unknown number. She almost did not answer, but something made her pick up. "Hello? Miss Park? This is Detective Han from the Seoul Police Department. I am calling about the assault case against Yoon Seo-yeon." Diana's heart started pounding. "What case?" "Mr. Kang filed charges on your behalf. Assault, unlawful imprisonment, fraud. We have been building a case for the past few months. I wanted to let you know that we are ready to move forward, but we would like your testimony." Diana sat down hard on the couch. "He filed charges?" "Yes, ma'am. He has been very cooperative. Provided medical records, witness statements, everything we needed." Diana did not know what to feel. Part of her was glad Seo-yeon was facing consequences, but part of her was angry that Minho had made this decision without asking her. "I need time to think about it," she said. "Of course. But Miss Park, people like Yoon Seo-yeon, they do not stop unless they are forced to. Your testimony could make sure she never does this to anyone else." That hit Diana hard, because she had not thought about it that way. This was not just about her. It was about making sure Seo-yeon could not hurt anyone else. "Okay," Diana said. "I will do it. Thank you. Someone from the prosecutor's office will be in touch." After she hung up, Diana just sat there, staring at nothing. Then she did something she had been avoiding for months. She called Minho. He answered on the first ring. "Diana? You filed charges against Seo-yeon." There was a pause. "Yes." "Without asking me." "I know. I'm sorry. I should have talked to you first. But I could not let her get away with what she did." Diana took a breath. "I need to see you." "When?" "Now." He showed up at the apartment 20 minutes later. He must have driven way too fast, but Diana did not comment on it. She let him in, and they stood in the living room, awkward and tense. "Why did you do it?" Diana asked. "Because it was the right thing to do." "That is not an answer." Minho ran a hand through his hair. He looked tired, older than she remembered. "Because I failed you in every way that mattered. I did not protect you. I did not believe in you. I let her hurt you for 2 years. And I will never forgive myself for that. But maybe, if she faces consequences, if she goes to prison, then at least something good comes from all of this. You should have asked me first. I know, and I am sorry. But Diana, she almost destroyed you. She needs to pay for that." Diana walked to the window, looking out at the city lights. "The detective said my testimony could help." "It could, but only if you want to do it. If it is too much, I will understand." She turned to look at him. Really look at him. He was standing there, hands in his pockets, looking at her like she was the most important thing in the world. And maybe she was. Maybe she always had been, but he had been too blind to see it. "I will testify," Diana said. "But not for you. For me. Because I deserve justice." Minho nodded. "You do." They stood there in silence for a moment. Then Diana said, "You broke my heart, Minho. I know. You chose everything else over me. Your family's approval, your business, your reputation. You made me feel like I was never enough. You were always enough. I was the one who wasn't enough for you." Diana felt tears prick her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. "I needed you, and you were not there. I know, and I will regret that for the rest of my life." Minho took a step closer, but not too close. "But I am here now, and I know it is too late. I know I do not deserve another chance. But if you ever need anything, I am here." "I do not need you anymore," Diana said, and she meant it. The pain that crossed his face was real and deep, but he just nodded. "I'm glad," he said quietly. You should not need anyone. You should just be free." He left after that, and Diana stood by the window, watching his car drive away, and she cried. Not because she wanted him back, but because she was grieving the life they could have had if things had been different, if he had been different, if she had been stronger. But grief was part of healing, and Diana was done being broken. She was ready to be whole again. Make sure you stick around, because the final part of this story is going to show you what real strength looks like. The weeks leading up to the trial were harder than Diana expected. The prosecutor, a woman named Attorney Choi, came to the apartment to prepare her. They went over everything: the accident, the facility, the medication. Every detail had to be perfect. Seo-yeon's lawyers are going to try to discredit you, Attorney Choi explained. They will say you are doing this for revenge. They will say you are lying. They will try to make you look unstable. So basically they will do to me in court what Seo-yeon did in real life, Diana said. Attorney Choi smiled grimly. Exactly. Which is why we need to be prepared. Can you handle that? Diana thought about it. Thought about facing Seo-yeon again. Thought about everyone hearing her story, judging her, questioning her. It made her stomach hurt. But then she thought about the 2 years she lost. The nights she cried herself to sleep thinking her body had betrayed her. The dreams she gave up on. The life that was stolen. Yes, Diana said. I can handle it. Good. Because you are not just fighting for yourself. There are 3 other women who came forward after the news broke. Women who were treated at facilities owned by the Yoon family. Women who had similar experiences. Diana's head snapped up. What? Seo-yeon has a pattern. You are not the first person she has hurt. But you might be the one who stops her. That changed everything. This was bigger than her, and Minho, and their broken relationship. This was about justice for people who had no voice. Tell me what I need to do, Diana said. They worked for hours. Attorney Choi asked every possible question. Made Diana tell the story over and over, until the words did not hurt as much, until she could say them without crying. You are going to be great, Attorney Choi said at the end of their session. Just tell the truth. That is all you need to do. The night before the trial, Diana could not sleep. She kept thinking about what she would say, how she would feel seeing Seo-yeon again, whether she was strong enough for this. Around midnight, her phone buzzed. A text from Jae-sung. You are the bravest person I know. You are going to do amazing tomorrow. I believe in you. Diana smiled. That kid had more faith in her than she had in herself sometimes. Another text came through, this one from Keisha. Jae-sung and I will be there tomorrow. You are not alone. Then one from Minho. She almost did not open it. I know you do not want to hear from me, but I will be there too. Not for me. For you. You deserve to have people in that room who know the truth. Diana put the phone down. She did not reply to any of them, but knowing they would be there made the fear a little smaller. The courthouse was huge and intimidating. Diana wore a simple blue dress that Keisha had helped her pick out. Nothing fancy. Nothing that screamed victim or attention seeker. Just normal. Attorney Choi met her outside. Ready? No, but I am doing it anyway. That is all courage is. Doing the thing even when you are scared. They walked inside together. The courtroom was already filling up. Diana saw Keisha and Jae-sung sitting in the 3rd row. Jae-sung gave her a thumbs up. She saw Minho too, sitting in the back, trying to be invisible. And then she saw Seo-yeon. She was sitting at the defense table, perfectly composed. Her hair was styled. Her clothes were expensive and tasteful. She looked like someone who had never done a wrong thing in her life. When their eyes met, Seo-yeon did not look away. She just stared at Diana with that same cold calculation she had, always had. Diana stared back. She did not smile, did not flinch, just looked at the woman who had stolen 2 years of her life and thought, "You do not scare me anymore." The trial started. The prosecution went first, laying out the case, medical records, testimony from doctors, evidence of the medication that should never have been prescribed. It was damning. Then it was the defense's turn. SEO Jan's lawyer was exactly what Diana expected. Slick, smooth, confident. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a case about a woman scorned. Miss Park was in love with Mr. Kang. When he chose to marry someone else, she could not handle it. So she created this elaborate story to ruin Miss Yoon's life. Diana felt anger rise in her chest, but Attorney Choi had prepared her for this. "Just stay calm. Let them talk. The truth will come out," the lawyer continued. Miss Park claims she was drugged and held against her will. But the medical records show she was receiving appropriate care for her injuries. The doctors will testify that everything they did was standard procedure. Except those doctors were paid by the Yoon family. Attorney Choi would point that out later. And as for the accusations of imprisonment, Miss Park was free to leave at any time. She chose to stay at the facility. No one forced her. That was a lie. But it was a lie that sounded reasonable if you did not know the whole story. Finally, it was Diana's turn to testify. She walked to the witness stand, her legs shaking a little. Not from the medication this time, from nerves. She placed her hand on the Bible and swore to tell the truth. Then she sat down and looked at Attorney Choi. "Miss Park, can you tell us what happened on the day of your accident?" Diana took a breath. "I was driving to the airport. I had accepted a job in Atlanta. I was leaving New York to start over." "Why were you starting over?" "Because the man I loved had chosen to marry someone else. And I could not stay and watch that happen. That man was Mr. Kang Min-ho? Yes. And the woman he was going to marry was the defendant, Yoon Seo-yeon? Yes." Attorney Choi walked her through everything. The crash, waking up in the hospital, being told she would never walk again, the transfer to the private facility. "What was your experience at that facility?" Diana chose her words carefully. "At first, I thought they were helping me, but I never got better. I only got worse. I was tired all the time. My mind felt foggy. I could not think clearly. Did you ever question your treatment?" "I tried, but the doctors told me this was normal, that I was depressed, that I needed to accept my new reality." "And Miss Yoon, how often did she visit you?" "Twice a week, every Tuesday and Friday." "What would happen during these visits?" Diana's hands were shaking now. "She would bring medication. She told the nurses it was vitamins, supplements to help with my recovery. But after she gave them to me, I would feel weaker. My legs would stop responding completely." "Objection," Seo-yeon's lawyer stood up. "Speculation. Miss Park has no medical training. She cannot know what the medication did." "Sustained," the judge said. Attorney Choi adjusted. "What did you observe happening to your body after receiving this medication?" "I observed that I could not move my legs. I observed that my mind became foggy. I observed that I felt hopeless and trapped." "Did you ever see Miss Yoon standing?" Diana blinked. "I am sorry." "Did you ever stand up while at the facility?" This was it. The moment of truth. Diana looked at Seo-yeon. She was watching with that same cold expression. "Yes," Diana said. "Multiple times." There was a murmur in the courtroom. The judge banged his gavel. "When was the first time?" "About 6 months into my stay. The medication had worn off early one day. I realized I could feel my legs. I tried to stand, and I could. I was shocked. I thought maybe I was healing." "What happened next?" "Miss Yoon came for her regular visit. I told her I had stood up. I was so excited. I thought she would be happy for me." Diana's voice cracked. Instead, she told me to sit down. She said I was confused. She said I was having delusions from the medication. Then she gave me an injection, and I could not feel anything anymore. Did this happen more than once? Yes. Over the 2 years, there were moments when the medication would wear off enough for me to realize something was wrong. And every time, Miss Yoon would make sure I could not tell anyone. How did she do that? By convincing me I was crazy, by making me doubt my own reality, by keeping me so drugged that I could barely remember my own name. Diana looked directly at Seo-yeon now. She stole 2 years of my life because she saw me as a threat. Seo-yeon's expression did not change. She just watched Diana like she was something mildly interesting. The defense's cross-examination was brutal. They asked about her relationship with Minho, about whether she was jealous, about her mental health history. They tried to paint her as unstable, vengeful, dishonest. But Diana had been through worse. She had survived 2 years of gaslighting and imprisonment. A lawyer asking mean questions was nothing compared to that. "Is it not true that you were depressed after the accident?" the lawyer asked. Of course I was depressed. I thought I would never walk again. And depression can cause delusions, can it not? It can. But I was not delusional. I was drugged. You have no proof of that. The medical records from Seoul Presbyterian Hospital show exactly what was in my system. Medications that had nothing to do with spinal injuries. Medications that cause muscle weakness and cognitive impairment. The lawyer tried a different angle. You claim Miss Yoon kept you imprisoned, but you never tried to escape. You never called for help. Why not? Diana looked at the jury. Have you ever been told by everyone around you that your reality is not real? That what you are experiencing is not happening? Have you ever been so medicated that you cannot trust your own mind? That is what it is like to be gaslit. You start to believe the lies because it is easier than fighting everyone. So you are saying you were too weak to help yourself? I am saying I was systematically broken down by someone who knew exactly what she was doing. The lawyer had no response to that. After Diana's testimony, other witnesses took the stand. Jae-sung told his story about what he saw. Keisha testified about Diana's remarkable recovery once the medication was stopped. Dr. Kim explained the medical evidence. Then came the other women, 3 of them, each with a similar story. Different circumstances, different reasons, but the same pattern. The Yoon family facilities, the medications that made no sense, the years stolen. By the time they finished, the jury looked sick. The prosecution rested. The defense tried to argue that this was all circumstantial, that there was no direct proof Seo-yeon had malicious intent, that she was just trying to help, and maybe the doctors made mistakes. But the evidence was overwhelming. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Diana waited in a conference room with Attorney Choi, drinking bad coffee and trying not to throw up. Finally, they were called back into the courtroom. "Has the jury reached a verdict?" the judge asked. "We have, Your Honor." Diana's heart was pounding so loud she could barely hear. "On the count of assault, how do you find the defendant?" "Guilty." "On the count of unlawful imprisonment, how do you find the defendant?" "Guilty." "On the count of fraud, how do you find the defendant?" "Guilty." The courtroom erupted. Diana just sat there, stunned. It was over. Seo-yeon was going to prison. She looked over at Seo-yeon, expecting to see fear or anger. But Seo-yeon was just sitting there, still composed, still calm, like this was happening to someone else. The judge set a sentencing date and dismissed the court. People rushed toward Diana, congratulating her, but she barely heard them. She pushed through the crowd and walked outside, needing air. Keisha found her first, pulling her into a hug. "You did it. You actually did it." Jae-sung was next, grinning so wide his face looked like it might split. "That was so cool. You were so brave up there." Diana hugged him tight. "I could not have done it without you, kid. Minho was standing a few feet away, keeping his distance. When Diana looked at him, he just nodded. No words, just acknowledgement. She nodded back. Attorney Choi came out, looking exhausted but triumphant. "That was one of the most satisfying verdicts of my career. You were incredible in there." "What happens now?" Diana asked. "Sentencing in 6 weeks. Given the severity and the multiple victims, she is looking at significant prison time. Probably 10 to 15 years. 10 to 15 years. That was more than the 2 years Seo-yeon had stolen from Diana. But somehow, it did not feel like enough. Nothing would ever give her back what she lost. But at least Seo-yeon could not hurt anyone else. The media went crazy with the story. It was everywhere. Mafia heirs Fiancée convicted of imprisoning romantic rival. The headlines were sensational and mostly inaccurate, but Diana did not care. She refused all interview requests and just focused on moving forward. A week after the verdict, she got a call from a woman named Jennifer Martinez. She ran a non-profit that helps survivors of medical abuse and gaslighting. "I have been following your case," Jennifer said. "What you did, testifying like that, being so open about your experience, it has already made a difference. We have had dozens of people reach out, sharing similar stories." Diana's throat tightened. "Really? Really? And I was wondering if you would be interested in working with us. We need advocates, people who understand what it is like, people who can help others find their voice." It was not the job in Atlanta working with kids, but it was something meaningful, something that could turn her pain into purpose. "Yes," Diana said. "I would like that." She started volunteering with the organization the next week, just a few hours at a time, answering calls, talking to survivors, sharing her story. It was hard. Every story she heard broke her heart a little, but it also healed something inside her. She was not just a victim anymore. She was a survivor helping other survivors. One afternoon, she was leaving the non-profit office when she ran into Minho. Not by accident. He was clearly waiting for her. "What are you doing here?" Diana asked. "I made a donation to the organization. Jennifer invited me to see the work you all do." Diana crossed her arms. "You do not need to keep doing this." "Doing what?" "Trying to buy your way back into my good graces, paying for my apartment, funding the prosecution, donating to my work. I do not need your money, Minho. I know you do not need it. But I have more money than I know what to do with, and it should go somewhere good. You are doing good work, Diana. Let me support that." She wanted to argue, but she was too tired. "Fine. But this does not change anything between us." "I know." They stood there in awkward silence. Then Minho said, "You look good." "Happy." Diana was surprised to realize it was true. She was happy. Not completely, not perfectly, but more than she had been in years. "I'm getting there," she said. "Good. You deserve that." Minho hesitated, then said, "I'm trying to be better. I sold off most of the shady businesses. I'm trying to build something legitimate, something I can be proud of. Why are you telling me this?" "Because you made me see who I had become, and I did not like it." He looked at her with those dark eyes she used to know so well. "I am not asking for forgiveness. I am not asking for another chance. I just wanted you to know that you changed my life, even if I am not in yours anymore." Diana felt something shift in her chest. Not forgiveness, not yet, but maybe the beginning of it. "I hope you make it," she said. "I really do. Thank you." He left after that. Diana watched him go, and for the first time, she did not feel angry, just sad for what they could have been, and grateful for who she was becoming. The sentencing hearing was quieter than the trial. Diana did not have to testify again, but she was allowed to make a victim impact statement if she wanted. She She stood in front of the judge and looked at Seo-yeon one last time. "You took 2 years of my life," Diana said. "You convinced me I was broken when I was not. You made me doubt my own mind. You isolated me from everyone I loved. And you did it all because you saw me as an obstacle to what you wanted." Seo-yeon's face was still blank. "But here is what you did not count on. I am stronger than you thought. I survived. I healed. And I am using what happened to me to help other people." Diana took a breath. "You tried to erase me. Instead, you made me unbreakable." She sat down. The judge sentenced Seo-yeon to 12 years in prison. She was led away in handcuffs, still showing no emotion. Diana felt nothing. Not satisfaction, not anger. Just a sense of closure. It was finally over. 6 months later, Diana was thriving. She had moved out of Minho's apartment and into a smaller place she could afford on her own. She was working full-time at the nonprofit, running support groups and advocacy programs. She had started painting again, and a small gallery in the city was displaying her work. She had built a life, her own life. Jae-sung visited often. He was doing well in school, talking about becoming a doctor someday. Keisha had become one of Diana's closest friends. They had dinner together, every week, talking about everything and nothing. Minho kept his distance like she asked, but sometimes she would see signs of him. A donation to the non-profit under an anonymous name that she knew was his. Flowers delivered to the gallery on the night of her art show with no card. Small gestures that said he was still there, still watching out for her, but not pushing. One day, Diana got a letter. It was from Seo-yeon, forwarded through her lawyer. She almost threw it away without reading it, but curiosity got the better of her. The letter was short. No apology. No excuse. Just one line. "You were right. I tried to erase you, but you were always going to be the stronger one." Diana read it twice, then put it in a drawer. She did not know what to do with it. Did not know if it meant Seo-yeon had changed, or if she was just finally admitting defeat. Maybe it did not matter. A year after the trial, Diana was invited to speak at a conference about medical gaslighting and patient advocacy. She was nervous. Public speaking had never been her thing. But Jennifer convinced her. People need to hear your story. Not the headlines. Not the court transcripts. Your actual voice. So Diana wrote a speech. She practiced it 100 times. And when the day came, she stood on that stage in front of 300 people and told her truth. She talked about the accident, about the fog of medication, about the 2 years she lost, about Jae-sung, the brave kid who saw what adults missed, about the long road to recovery. But mostly, she talked about what comes after trauma. "People always want the story to end with the trial," Diana said, "with the bad guy going to jail, with justice served. But that is not the end. The real story is what happens next. How do you rebuild when someone has taken everything from you? How do you learn to trust again? How do you move forward?" She looked out at the audience. Some were crying. Some were nodding. "I do not have all the answers," Diana continued. "Some days I am still angry. Some days I still grieve the time I lost. But I also know that I am not defined by what was done to me. I am defined by what I choose to do now." The applause was thunderous. People stood. Diana felt tears running down her face, but she was smiling. After the speech, dozens of people came up to thank her, to share their own stories, to tell her she gave them hope. And standing in the back of the room, trying to be invisible but failing, was Minho. Diana saw him. Their eyes met across the crowd. He smiled, sad and proud, and then he left. She did not go after him. 2 years after the trial, Diana was living her best life. She had been promoted to director of advocacy at the nonprofit. Her art was selling. She had a community of friends who loved and supported her. She was whole. One afternoon, She was at a coffee shop when someone sat down across from her. She looked up, ready to say the seat was taken, and stopped. Minho. "Hi," he said. "Hi." They had not spoken directly in months. Diana had seen him at a couple of non-profit events, always keeping his distance, always respectful. But this was different. "Can I sit?" he asked. "You already did." "Fair point." He looked nervous. Minho, the man who used to command rooms full of dangerous people, looked nervous. "I heard about your promotion. Congratulations." "Thank you." "And I saw your art show last month. You are really talented, Diana." "Were you there?" "In the back. I left before you could see me." Of course he did. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Minho said, "I'm leaving New York." Diana's heart did something weird. "What?" "I bought a business in Seattle. Completely legitimate. Tech company. I am starting over somewhere where my name does not mean anything." He looked at her. "I wanted to tell you before I left." "Why?" "Because you deserved to know. And because I wanted to say thank you." "For what?" "For being brave enough to tell the truth. For holding me accountable. For showing me what real strength looks like." Minho's voice was thick with emotion. "You saved my life, Diana, even if you do not realize it." Diana felt tears prick her eyes. "You broke my heart. I know, and I will regret that until the day I die. But," Diana continued, "you also helped me find myself. I never would have moved to Atlanta. I never would have tried to start over. And I definitely never would have found this work that I love if none of this had happened. So in a weird, painful way, you helped me become who I am supposed to be." Minho smiled, and it was genuine. "You were always supposed to be amazing. I just wish I had seen it sooner." "Me too." They sat there, two people who had loved each other and hurt each other, and somehow survived it all. "Can I ask you something?" Diana said. "Anything." "Are you happy?" Minho thought about it. "I'm getting there. Therapy helps. Building something I can be proud of helps. And knowing that you are okay, that helps most of all. I am more than okay. I am good. I can see that." Diana took a breath. "I forgive you, Minho." He looked stunned. "What?" "I forgive you. Not because you deserve it. Not because it fixes anything. But because I am tired of carrying anger around. It is heavy, and I am done with it." Tears were running down Minho's face now. "Thank you. But forgiveness does not mean we go back to what we were. You know that, right?" "I know." "Good." They finished their coffee, talked about small things, work, Seattle, the weather, normal things. And when it was time to go, they hugged. A real hug. The kind that said goodbye and good luck, and maybe in another life. "Be happy," Diana said. "You too." She watched him walk away, and this time it did not hurt. It just felt like the ending of one chapter and the beginning of another. 3 years after the trial, Diana published a book. It was part memoir, part advocacy guide. She called it Unbreakable. It became a bestseller. She did a book tour, speaking at colleges, conferences, and community centers. Everywhere she went, people thanked her. Told her she changed their lives. Told her she gave them courage. Jae-sung, now 17 and planning to study medicine, came to her book launch. He had grown so much. He was taller than her now, confident and bright. "I'm proud of you, Miss Diana," he said. "I'm proud of you too, kid. You're going to make an amazing doctor. I want to help people like you, people who do not have anyone believing them." Diana hugged him tight. "The world needs more people like you." She got a text from Minho that night. Just 2 words. "Congratulations. Proud." She smiled and put the phone away. 5 years after the trial, Diana was invited to testify before Congress about medical abuse and patient rights. She sat in that big room, told her story again, and helped pass legislation that would protect others. She had turned her trauma into change. She had won. Not in the way she expected. Not by getting her old life back, or by reconciling with Minho, or by erasing what happened, but by building something new, something better, something entirely her own. If this story moved you, if it made you think, if it reminded you that you are stronger than whatever tried to break you, hit that subscribe button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Stories like Diana's, they matter. And your story matters too. Stay strong.